Hello, Healthcare Experience Matters podcast listeners. We have a return guest with us today. Wynn Howard is joining us once again. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Asante, Three Rivers Medical Center in Grants Pass, Oregon. For those of you who didn't join us the last time Wynn and I connected, we had met for a podcast called Exploring the Impact of Employee Culture and Its Influence on Patient Experience and Safety. I will make sure to link back to that episode in the description of this episode for anyone who missed it, because it really was a great discussion. And in this episode that we previously recorded, Wynn had mentioned a lot about gratitude. It was a theme of the last time we talked. So we want to regroup today and talk 100% about gratitude, including some of the unique ways Wynn practices gratitude as the CEO of Asante, Three Rivers Medical Center in Oregon. And I will begin this discussion just to catch listeners up who may have missed that first episode. Wynn, can you tell us a little bit about your professional background as well as the size and scope of Asante, Three Rivers Medical Center?
Yeah, thank you, Casey. And thank you for allowing me to come back. I'm super excited to spend a little bit of time with you today and share with some of the listeners out there. So a little bit about my professional background. I started my healthcare career as an imaging technologist, and how I got into that was my mom was a cook at a hospital in California. She got me an appointment with the HR director, who spent 2 hours with me going over different career options. And I chose an imaging technologist as a career path into healthcare. And so started as an imaging technologist, move into like an imaging director. And then I've worked for 3 different healthcare systems. The first healthcare system that I worked at was within Sutter Health, and then CHI, and now at Asante. I came to Asante as the regional director of imaging services, and then became a vice president of operations, and then currently in my role as CEO at Asante Three Rivers Medical Center. So Three Rivers Medical Center is a 125-bed level 3 trauma facility, part of Asante Health System, which is a 9-time top 15 health system in the country. Three Rivers is a 5-star CMS hospital every year since 2017. We are the second busiest level 3 trauma facility in the state, and we are a $250 million net revenue organization, a very high functioning, medium-sized hospital. So that's a little bit about me, my professional background, and a little bit about my organization.
Before we get into kind of some of the gratitude practices, just remind us why showing gratitude is so important to you as an individual, Wynn.
Yeah, that's a great question, Casey. And, one of the things that I was thinking about and kind of preparing for our time together today was, man, this last couple of years has been so hard. It's been so hard on everyone, but it's been especially challenging for those people that work in healthcare and the healthcare workforce. And through it all, they've cared for their communities. They've came to work every day. Many of them have worked extra shifts and extra hours, and they've done that with skill and compassion. And, we can all do our part and show appreciation to all the healthcare workers who have shown compassion to their patients, to each other, to their teammates. They worked hard, they worked tirelessly to care for their communities. And so I think it's really important. It was important to me before the pandemic, but it's even more important to me now to show the level of gratitude to these, members of the healthcare workforce because of the sacrifices that they have made over the last couple of years. And I think the least that we can do for them is to show them gratitude and show them appreciation and the love and all the things that we should be doing to appreciate them, because without them, we couldn't have done what we have done across America over the last couple of years.
Absolutely. And the patient experience, another major recurring theme on this podcast, of course. So, Wynn, how can showing gratitude influence your organization's culture? And ultimately, we hope, have a positive impact on the patient experience?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I'm certainly a big advocate of, we're always striving to have a really engaged and strong workforce. And, one of the things that I've learned specifically through the PRC National Nursing Engagement Report is, it's important that when we see people that are fully engaged, whether it's a nurse, a doctor, a tech, could be a housekeeper, whomever it is. I mean, patients are touched by so many people. But when these folks are really fully engaged and connected to their hospitals, connected to their team, connecting to their patients, it makes a difference. And you can tell that connection by they care about the success of their organization. And I think that it's really important that we focus around our workforce and focus on working as relationship to engagement with them, because there's a direct correlation to the higher the level of engagement that your workforce has in the organization, your outcomes, whether that's around patient safety, patient experience, financial outcomes, those all are typically higher. And so that's why I think this is really important for us to focus on.
At a minimum, not that we encourage the minimum, but just to kind of put things into perspective, at a minimum, how do you think leaders should go about showing thanks? Is it enough to simply send off a thank you email?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've thought about that before. And I would say that sending an email is, I'd say that is, you're getting on first base. So at least you're doing something. So sending an email, yes, that is helpful. And it's important to do that. But I would say just sending an email is really not enough. And also I would say that when you want to show gratitude or appreciation, I've learned over the years, it's mostly around doing it in a timely manner. Can you do it as close to the particular event or something that they've done, close to that as possible? And also providing the appreciation feedback, being very specific. Don't send an email saying like the subject line, today's meeting, and then you type, thank you for today's meeting. I mean, you don't even get to home base on that or even to first base. So I would say, you need to be very specific. You need to be timely. An email is a good start, but I think a written note, a phone call, a letter, many other things are more important and show that you really value them. Because, to me, a simple email is okay. If you're going to do nothing, it's better than nothing, but it's not quite enough. Hope that makes sense to you, Casey.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So it's not as simple to say yes or no. An email suffices. It really is kind of what thought went behind that email. And then, that, to stick with the baseball metaphor, that's at least going to get you on base.
Right.
Okay, cool. So last time we spoke, you mentioned that you often do things that go beyond the standard thank you note. Even beyond the standard handwritten thank you note. So when it comes to showing gratitude to the team you work with, just remind us about some of the unorthodox type things that you do to say thanks and show gratitude.
Yeah, I have a couple of examples I could share with you, Casey. That's a great question. One of them was several years ago, I had a situation where I had a particular team member that just went over and above in something they did related to a project. I didn't have a lot of money to show appreciation, and the appreciation is not about money, but I wanted to show the value that I placed on that person's time. So what I did is I found out what the person's favorite restaurant was. And then I sent a letter thanking the spouse for allowing their, essentially this was their husband, to spend so much time with us. And then in the letter, I was very specific about all the things that the husband had done. And then in there was a gift certificate to both of their favorite restaurants. So that was something that I got an idea from a friend of mine. He made this suggestion to me. I did it. I had never done it before. And I heard from this particular person that worked with me that it was like one of the most special things he'd ever received from a gratitude perspective. And, and it really wasn't about the money or the gift certificate. It was about, being very specific and then sending it to his wife that really made the difference. So that's one example. Another example that I did literally in the last couple of years is, during the pandemic, I wanted to show some gratitude in a different way. And I always thought about how, as a parent myself of two adult children, how great it is to hear, when your child has done something well and somebody gives you feedback about your children. And so what I did is I wrote a letter and I had it sent to the parents of a few of my direct reports. I was very specific on what they had done, how much I appreciated them, their contributions to the organizations, their impact in the community. And I sent it to their parents. And in a couple of cases, the parents weren't still married, so I had to find addresses, and my assistant helped with that. And I sent these letters out, and it was like an unbelievable response. And it was super special. And quite frankly, I think I got more out of it than they did. But some of them shared with me that their family members cried. And the one person's dad said, "Why doesn't he send these letters every year? I had no idea you were doing all these things." So that's a couple of examples that I think have been impactful. And I didn't put gift cards or anything in there. It was purely a letter of thanks to the parents.
Yeah, and it goes a long way. It really does. I just want to know what your thoughts are, because budgets can always play into this. So do you think you have to add that extra gift card in there in the mix? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think what resonates more? Is it that actual monetary gift, like a gift card to a restaurant, or actually putting some thought behind it? Maybe ideally doing both, but what would you say to those that are a little more budget minded and might not be able to add that extra gift card type thing in there?
Yeah, that's a great question, Casey. And I don't really think putting a gift card in a letter or a note or a card is as important as it is in making it a timely response and feedback and being specific about what the person has done. I think the gift card is nice, it's helpful, but it's not nearly as important. And especially, a handwritten note, that is really impactful. Typed is fine, but getting that note to the person or the family member or what example, I think that's probably more important than the gift card. Okay. Certainly gift cards are great and they're nice, but I think it's more about the content of the appreciation and the gratitude and what you say. And, I'll share another story with you. I was just thinking about this. I had a surgeon that had done something amazing in the community. And so what I did with her was I knew she was going to see her parents for Thanksgiving. So I sent a letter to her parents. This one took a long time to find out where her parents were, where they lived. And I sent a letter to her parents a couple of weeks before Thanksgiving, thanking them for what a great job they did in raising this child to become just this amazing surgeon and this amazing person. And I sent the letter to the parents, and they saved it for Thanksgiving dinner, and they read it around the Thanksgiving dinner table. And so, to answer your question, gift cards are nice, but they're not what really people are searching for. People are searching for appreciation and know that they're valued and appreciated. And and I think us showing that is something that is really important.
That is a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. I think we can all relate to that moment. And yes, that does sound like that goes way above and beyond what a gift card, could do. So any other final thoughts, Win, before we end it here?
Yeah, I would say couple things. As I've learned over the years that as leaders, we need to take time to stop and thank people who've been involved in making things happen in our organization, whether it's in our hospitals or our clinics or wherever they're providing the services. And we need to thank them for their time, thank them for their effort, thank them for their leadership. And I'm convinced that people don't work for money alone. I mean, it doesn't even rank in the top 3 most important things. And I think we as leaders, we should spread sincere thanks frequently and widely as possible, and share successes with others. Be free with sharing that success. I've also learned that people who don't get acknowledged sometimes by simple oversight feel diminished, and that happens at times. And I don't think that's always right, but I think that we should do our best effort to show appreciation and gratitude whenever possible. And if we leave somebody out, and I've certainly done that, then we try to recover from that. And so the last thing I would say is, for me personally, I get more out of sharing the gratitude, maybe even than the people receiving it. It makes my heart happy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would run consistent with the old saying, it's better to give than receive. So Win Howard, once again, just a fantastic conversation. Win is the Chief Executive Officer of Asante, Three Rivers Medical Center in Grants Pass, Oregon. We've been discussing gratitude in healthcare leadership. Win, thank you again for your time and for all this insight.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, Casey.